What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to episode 59 of C4SVillains. I am your host, JB, and I am here, as always, with the Council of Villains, Abe and Steve, and we are here to talk about Moon Knight Episode 3 and Warner Brothers Discovery's overhaul of DC Entertainment. This is going to be a really fun episode. This episode of Moon Knight was absolutely incredible, and this overhaul with Discovery merging with Warner Brothers, this is all good stuff. But we don't know. It could all be smoke. It could all be just nice words because we just spent $43 billion on buying WB. It could just be the things that they know that we want to hear. But it sounds good, right? So first of all, before we dive into the news, Abe, Steve, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this episode.
Of course. Every week if I can. Abe, you're on mute.
Oh, I know. It's just I'm still getting used to being on the don't use system and whatnot. So I'm like, oh wait, I can use Zoom and have Twitch open at the same time. Oh my god, I couldn't do that on that laptop I was working off of. So like, oh my goodness. So I'm like trying to switch back and mute myself and all that jazz. So bear with me, guys. But what's good? It's your boy the Mad Prince. As always, good to be here. Excited to discuss those two topics. Moon Knight episode 3 was bussing, and then that DC Discovery news was very. I won't say, I don't want to say reassuring, but it was positive in the right direction.
I like that. It was positive.
Yeah, it was positive. It was positive. We need some positivity, right? And so definitely glad to talk with the homies and really chop it up and spend some time with you guys. Make sure that you guys go over to Twitch too. Definitely watch us. We are live on Twitch too. We just drop us a follow. We can use the views so we can get that channel growing and busting. You feel me? So shout out to y'all.
Definitely. Steve, good to have you back on the show, man.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to be back, man. Last week we missed you guys. It was just me, Vash, and Aaron from Black Anime. Missed you guys, but you know what I'm saying, we held it down for y'all. So these last two episodes have been, Moon Knight's been good.
It's been really good, and this episode is my favorite so far, man. But we'll get more into that. But before we get into the episode itself, let's get into that news topic that we were talking about. So Warner Brothers Discovery. So as you guys know, and if you didn't know, Discovery purchased Warner Brothers for $43 billion. It was finally finalized, I believe last week or 2 weeks ago. And like it's now a thing. Like Discovery, it's now Warner Brothers Discovery. That is the new name of the company, and the CEO of the company said some really encouraging things, some very positive things, like Abe said. So pretty much what he was talking about was creating a separate studio just for their DC projects, which I think is something that they should have done years ago, right? Mm-hmm. This should have been a separate division just for DC instead of it all falling under one umbrella. And then it's like, yeah, we have a president of DC, but there's no other department heads. There's nothing else, right? Another thing that he talked about in his quote was, and I'll read it directly, it's Discovery believes that several top-shelf characters, such as Superman, have been left to languish and needs to be revitalized, right? We were talking about this off-air. It's been 9 years since Man of Steel. I personally think that movie is near a masterpiece, and Henry Cavill is the best Superman ever, in my personal opinion. But
yes.
I just from those initial thoughts, like Abe, I'll toss it to you first. Like, what are your thoughts on the CEO just giving us this like positivity that'll actually pay attention and put the work in and the money and the resources needed to make a good DC universe?
Honestly, it's what we as fans, and whether you love DC or you hate on DC, have been saying. It's one thing that we can all agree on. Whether you're on the side of, hey, I'm pro DC or I'm pro Marvel, this is what we've been all saying, that DC just needs like one voice and everything under one roof and kind of on the same page. I mean, let's be real. Marvel didn't have that either, but they handled their situation better and got it done in a more like messy, in a less messy manner, than DC has, to where like, look at them now, boom, boom, boom. Everything is under their property. damn near everything, I would say, if not everything, is under their property now. But they were able to still be on page and build towards a direction. The MCU is a 10 plus year long project. It wasn't just something they thought of overnight. Everything was at least thought of years in advance. And of course, changes happen. So it's not like they were like, yeah, we're going to bring Thanos in, and in 10 plus years in year one, they probably built up to that. But they had a vision. They had a dream. They accomplished that shit. DC is just like, yo, so Batman?
Yeah. And everything else Batman related.
Then they're like, yeah, so more Batman? Because they like that last Batman we did. So let's have someone else make Batman. Tim Burton Batman. Cool. So what about George Clooney as Batman? Cool. Christian Bale as Batman. Yeah, they're gonna like that. God damn, we got Ben Affleck as Batman. And you know what? Not to be out there. Robert Pattinson, come on down. You're Batman. So like, thank you. And one of the things in the article that JB shared with the group that really gave me such like assurance of we're stepping in the right direction was they said we wanted someone who was like Kevin Feige, right? That's their target, but they wanted someone creative. And there was a candidate that people thought would be most likely to take the job. I forgot her name. She worked with a Paramount, I believe. Did she work with Paramount?
I know who you're talking about, but I'm blanking right now.
And how she was not going to take the job because they
Emma
feel
Watts?
that. Yes, Emma Watts. Yes. How she wasn't going to take the job if offered because it seemed that wasn't the creative mind, wasn't truly. They wanted to go more business like. And when I was reading that, I was like, oh, they're going to focus on the money, Warner Brothers. Oh gosh, it's still Warner Brothers at the end of the day. I don't give a damn what name you put in front of behind it. They said, but they continued on to say to bring all the DC factions into a harmonious existence. I don't know if they use existence, but they did use harmonious. And that right there just was like a weight off my shoulders because that is what we want. There should be no reason why you have all these studios, all these properties wanting to do their own thing and it conflicts and it doesn't mesh. There's no story, but they want to pick bits and pieces from each other. You can't do that with these stories. You can't keep them separate. Like, sure, if you want to do standalone films, you can do that. But do you have a universe that can survive and be as big or even better? Some that's where the debate that's where we can really have a good debate.
Restore the Snyderverse, bro. Restore it.
Or not. Yo, look, if you can make a DC universe that rivals that of the MCU, then us fanboys whether you stand on one side or the other or in the middle can really have some good debates, can really have some good discussions about how DC does this and the Marvel is doing this. That's what I want. But we aren't there yet. But however, we can get there with whoever this candidate is. Boy, all I'm saying is I know, and I don't even know who the person's gonna be. But I know for a fucking fact, a damn fact, that Blackest Night is gonna be something that we get on the big screen. I already know we're gonna get it either on big screen or on TV. That's all I know. That's all I know. That's all I gotta say. I know that for a fact we're gonna get that. There we go. That's all I gotta say about it.
Steve, what are your thoughts on this?
This just in. Discovery Warner Brothers has just hired James Barnes to look over operations. He will be now in charge of running the DC and getting the DC universe together. No, honestly and truthfully, I'm
real
excited
quick
about
though.
it.
I want the job at Sony. I want the job at Sony to fix the Spider-Verse. Like, that needs more help, but continue.
I'm just gonna say this, JB, if you do get one of these jobs and I'm not brought in as a consultant or anything, I will kill you. Breaking news. Former co-host of Careful for Spoilers has been caught red-handed. Actually turned himself in for murdering CEO of the MCU of the DC universe of the Sony Spider-Verse. Jeremiah Barnes, because
Jeremiah Barnes.
I'm throwing Jeremiah because and why? Because he owed me. That's why.
I'll just be part of the entourage. You need your shoes tied? All right.
Oh my God. Get what you worth, King.
You need your shoes tied. I'm worth at least the entourage. I'm worth at least the entourage. But no, I'm actually pretty enthused about it. I'm not going to say I'm excited. I'm enthused because we still have all these lingering issues going on with DC. You still have the Ezra Miller thing going on, that drama, that conflict. You still have I can't remember her name right now, but she's in Aquaman.
Yeah, Amber
Heard. You still have that issue going on, and it's like you can hear that they're like, we want to move forward, we want to progress and make things better for the overall verse. But it's like these are big issues because the Flash is super important, clearly, to DC. So it's, do you go forth with Ezra Miller, or do you just kind of wash your hands of it? How do you fix that? 9 years since Superman, like you said, is Henry Cavill coming back? It's just so many unanswered questions, but it's like, oh, okay, glass half full, we're getting things fixed. At least we're getting something. The studio, we're getting things that's gonna try to get things going in the right direction. And that's the plus side, that's the bright side, that's what we can look forward to. We need a Green Lantern, like Abe said, because Darkest Night needs to be done. We need a Martian Manhunter, because I want the real Justice League, not just what you guys consider the Justice League. I want Martian Manhunter. We need it all. Like, we need to get this whole thing fixed. It needs to be retconned. And only thing I can think of is you have to, like everybody's been saying, we need a Flashpoint movie, fix it all, wipe it clean.
Yeah, we've been saying this for years, right? Like, sure, if you don't, I want them to restore the Snyderverse, but if you don't want to, that's fine. You have the Flash, you have Flashpoint. Use it as a way to literally reboot the universe. You don't even have to start over. Just change everything, right? Audiences, fans would accept it. It's like, oh, Flashpoint happened, so therefore pretty much since the Big Bang, everything is different, right? The timeline has changed. We would be okay with that. I would be perfectly fine with that. Start over. You can keep some people because that's how it works. Some people are still here. Some people don't exist in the universe anymore. You can do literally whatever you want and have one cohesive universe that we follow, and then keep like the Batman universe, keep the Todd Phillips Joker universe, keep the multiverse going, make sure that it's a thing, right? Keep the multiverse going, because yes, Marvel is getting into that, but DC has been doing it, right? That's the one thing that they've been doing. They have the multiverse already in place, and they just need to keep going. This would be the perfect thing. Another thing that I wanted to read from here that gives me hope, right? It's just the verbiage used and just the fact that they realize that we are sitting on a fucking gold mine and we need to do something, right? We already talked about the fact that they're going to create a completely separate studio. There's going to be a complete department just overseeing DC entertainment, right? Discovery insiders believe that although DC has achieved cinematic success with recent films like Aquaman and The Batman, it lacks a coherent creative and brand strategy, which is true. It is missing core elements of actually having a universe. It's kind of like, well, let's just throw anything at the fucking wall and see what sticks, right? You know what I mean? So it's like we need at least one part of the universe to be something tangible and cohesive. And then you can have like offshoots in different parts of the multiverse, like one-offs and shit. So that's what I hope that they do.
Yeah. And like you said, there's stuff that's cohesive. I mean, clearly, Peacemaker, you put Aquaman in there. You've done things where you're trying to make it cohesive. Now you need to put together a game plan. So I'm hoping that that's what they're doing. They're going to put together a solid game plan.
Yeah. I mean, would you guys want to see, because I still want them to make this Green Lantern HBO Max series. I think that would be a great way to build out whatever the movie universe is going to be, right? Have Flashpoint, reboot everything, make a Green Lantern core HBO Max series that expands the galactic part of the DC universe, right? That's within that main time stream, right? That main universe. It's so simple. It's so simple. Just like there's things that you can do. You guys have the best characters, the best storylines, the best universe. You're literally sitting on a gold mine and you're just not doing anything. But the CEO at Discovery, that's now the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, he seems to have some sort of vision that's been missing. Over the past 8 years, we've had maybe 4 to 5 different heads of DC. It's absolutely ridiculous. No one knows what they're doing, but there's actually a plan, but we'll see how it goes, right?
Wondering if how long to get it executed. I would think at least 2 years to this try to start and get everything planned. Like at least try to like get something planned for 2 years. Let us get this Flash movie or whatever, and then just let's go ahead and try to get stuff.
I mean, the thing is that works for them too is just, we say like, oh, okay, they want to create this new world with this new head of whoever their candidate is. What about these current projects that are going on? Well, they kind of already said that this was their Elseworlds kind of deal, so they can continue doing that. DC can afford to do an Elseworlds bubble with their current projects while actually giving us the main, like, this is the actual DCE, this is prime right here. This is where you can go. Everything really connects. And then if they want to, similar to how Marvel is doing now, they can bring in those Elseworld products and be like, all right, this is how we're going to fit it in. If anything, this Elseworld bubble can serve as like, yo, this is the stuff that we already have. We're not really going to throw it away. We're just putting it here until, we can fit them into what we got going on. Because again, Marvel is doing that with the multiverse. Fucking DC has always had that card in their pocket. That is a main card that they use in their deck, yo. Like, honestly, how often do they reset the fucking universe and bring in the complete multiverse? That is 99% of what the main DC stories are all about is the fucking multiverse. So they can always, that is an easy fix for them. Whereas Marvel's like, they can't always they can't jump on that all the time. They have to time it right, and that's what they've done. So it's just like, all right, there's a lot. I'm getting hyped because there's so much good I can see that can come out of this. But I do understand, like, hey, we still gotta wait for who's the hire. Is the hire the same? What is their vision? Are they fans of the property? Do they want to see, like, what do they want to see? And how are they going about it? And everybody else. So it's going to be a long waiting game.
Because that's key, right? Like, Feige's a fan first. Like, he's a fan first that became an executive. So it's going to be interesting for them to find an executive that's also a fan. Because I don't know where you're going to find another Kevin Feige exactly. But if you can find an executive that is a fan to a degree, I don't need them to know everything about the comics, but they're a fan to the point where they know to take it more seriously, right?
Henry Cavill. That would be hilarious. Let him be the executive. That would be wild.
Man. But any other thoughts on this news before we move on to Moon Knight episode 3?
If you guys do this, I need Thawne done right, and then we can go from there. Yeah.
Question: do you think we see Thawne in the Flash movie? Because it's not really something that I even considered, because the movie's just been delayed so long, I just stopped caring about who the villain could even be. But could it be Thawne? Like, is Barry his own antagonist because he's creating this Flashpoint? Like, do you think we see Thawne?
Well, I mean, if he's going back in time, because we saw the scene where his mother was there, so we're gonna see Thawne, I assume. Now, will we see him, or will we see a blur? And they mention Thawne. That's going to be the bigger issue. But I mean, I think we probably will see Thawne. I mean, will it be done right? But will we see him? I think so. Yeah, I think so.
It's hard for me to even imagine you telling Flashpoint on the big screen and there's no imprint of Thawne at all. You know, it just seems
stranger things have happened.
If anybody could do it,
well, you know, at that point, I'm just considering like, what's your source material? What are you just like? Hey, the Flash, he runs fast. All right, this is what I think a guy who can run fast does. You know, this is you just creating a whole new original story. Like, what's going on? Because you can't, especially again, we know he's going to go back to his past. That's just, you can't tell another story without telling this story.
Yeah.
So we know the truth. Are you retconning the truth? If you are, let's see where it goes. But then you gotta give me a damn good reason for why the Flash is the Flash, because we all know that Thawne is Thawne is inevitable. Thawne is a necessary piece to the Flash's history.
You can't have a Flash without Thawne.
Yeah, it's wild.
So to do that is just like, man, you know that this can't be buried. This must be a whole nother like you telling me the story of the OGs. You know the like Jay Garrick. Is that what you're gonna give me? You gonna give me Jay Garrick? You gonna give me like Mercury? What you go? You know, like don't tell me this is Barry Allen's origin story and it's like, no Reverse Flash, not even, he doesn't even exist, not even a blur, and not even like, because I guess remember I said an imprint, not that outright he needs to be the main antagonist or we need him like, yo, here I am, but let us know that yes, we of course we acknowledge it. If you're going to acknowledge that he exists, acknowledge that he's there, and then I'm cool with it.
And then it's who plays him. It's just, oh my God.
You don't even need to show us who plays him, to be honest. If you just do it, we won't even know.
Yeah, just do the blur and just say Thawne is here or something. Just, please, don't show me this guy and he ends up looking like.
As a Thawne fan, would you really be okay with that though? Like the only part of Thawne that you see is just a blur and then you don't see him again in the movie? Like,
I mean, if they can make me like, if they do multiple blurs and then like a lot of chaos, I could see it. Like the mystery would piss me off or whatever, but it's better than them throwing a Thawne in there and it's fucking Steve Carell or some shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want them to get this wrong. I just don't want them to get this wrong.
Stop.
like just don't blow this.
Well,
please.
here's the thing though. Here's the thing. So, but if you're going to do the blur, it depends on how the rest of the movie goes. Okay, because if you're not giving us a reverse Flash in this story, what story are you going to tell us? You know, what? Because again, we've had instances of other Flashpoint like occurrences. I mean, it's the Flashes. It happens. It happens when you deal with a speedster. So if you want to, again, like Marvel, you mix and match, you kind of blend and recreate, you can do that. We'll be fine, but tell a good story if you're going to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be fine with not even with just a blur of Thawne. Now, if they do multiple blurs and then we don't even touch upon them again for the rest of the movie, to me, I'm thinking like, oh, you setting something else. You setting up something big. And like, you setting up something like the Flash War type big or some shit like that. If you're going to give us multiple blurs and then we don't touch upon it the rest of the movie continues on else. And I'm just like, wait, what was that he saying? Oh, that's going to get me hype.
I don't think they're that clever. But yeah, that would get me real hype.
However, the future head of the DC, you know, if you happen to be just lurking on Twitch or YouTube and watching us, remember this. I won't be upset if you heard this and was like, you know what, that's what I'm gonna do, and you decide to take credit, just please do it. Just
You
please.
know what? You know what I would really want instead of a blur to really piss or really like get people into it. Instead of a blur, Barry Allen starts to chase after Thawne, but he's not fast enough, and all he can see is like his back. I think that would be better than a fucking blur. I
It
think
would
that because you just see the suit and he's just like, I can't catch up with this guy, and it's
But
just
that
like,
gotta be how you end the movie, huh? Okay, I would like that as an end of the movie.
well, a blur the first time, or maybe one or two times, and then he's like, "Oh fuck this, I'm gonna catch this guy," and then he's chasing him, and then you just see the back of his suit.
But
He's
we
just
can't
like,
catch him then.
"I can't catch him. He's too fucking
But
fast."
then it's like, why did we waste this time chasing him? You're gonna be like, fuck it, and then continue on with the rest of the movie.
No, I'm saying for the end, like there's a blur the first time,
Okay,
and he continues
in the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
so okay, we're on the same page. So that's how
Yeah.
you would. Okay, yeah.
So that way we get kind of like both, where we get the
Mhm.
blur at first, and then it's like,
Mhm.
damn, this motherfucker fast. Like I would love that, and then you still never actually see him.
That would be great setup for a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Great setup. Because
Iron
then
Meat
you
as
instantly
well,
put your
DC.
lead character into the position where he has room to grow. It's like, oh shit, like my arch nemesis is way faster than me. I have to get faster in order to beat him. Flash 2. I would buy that.
Hello, DC. My name is Steven.
With a V?
With
Would it be?
Please.
Would it be?
Don't do that PH shit.
Speaking of Steven with a V, let's get into our Moon Knight episode 3 review, The Friendly Type. This episode, absolutely incredible, directed by Mohamed Diab, and it was written by 3 different people. I'm going to butcher their names, but Bo DeMaio, Peter Cameron, and Sabir Perzada. Incredible writing in this episode, great direction, great cinematography. Speaking of the cinematography, Steve, I'm going to toss it to you first. Like, what were some of your favorite aspects of the production quality of the episode? Like, starting with like cinematography, sound design, any of that stuff that spoke to you?
As far as like just a set design for me, that inside of the pyramid was just ridiculously like
I got you. I'm going to pull that up right now.
Okay. When they freaking like get in there and they show and you see all the thrones and everything and you see the avatars and I just like that whole lure of it was just like sheesh. And and then not even that one, but then there's also as they're moving the knights going back to moving the sky.
I got you. I got that one too.
Those are like some of my bro. Moonlight looked nice, man. Like Moonlight looks really, really nice from a setting standpoint. And it's just to think of DC guys. Look at how much time they took, and this is the TV series. This isn't even a movie. And look how beautiful this looks. Like they are putting their hands and foot in this shit, and they killing it. I really like it, and I also was really thrilled to see the breaks where he's snapping, and then we get that. I was like, oh, it's back. I was like, yes. So I was really hyped for that shit too.
Abe, what about you? What were some things about the production in this episode that spoke to you?
Oh, honestly, so funny thing, it was yesterday. I was rewatching. I don't know how I came about this, but I just found myself rewatching No Way Home, and it was first one was Andrew Garfield. The whole 3 Spider-Man moments was really dope. The dialogue was dope, but when they get the box, the cube to MJ and Ned, and Ned is trying to close the portal, and he's just like, all right. And it's not closing. I'm like, all right, so everybody has that same motion, that same circular motion again. And so I just gonna think like, oh, he's about to Doctor Strange this shit. All right, let's go ahead. You do your thing, right? But the darkening of the sky, the eclipse was definitely really, really beautiful to see. Also, as you showed before, the gathering of the Egyptian gods was well done. Like I appreciated and this is just me as a fan, not really knowing too much about Egyptian culture. I can't call myself an expert by any means, but as me as a fan, I enjoyed just the authenticity. It felt real. It felt natural. To me, I could be ignorant. Who knows? But I really enjoy the attention to detail, the lighting, the statues, the hieroglyphics, the clothing, and it really felt like, yeah, we're in Cairo. We're meeting with the Egyptian gods. Like, where's Yu-Gi-Oh at? Like, hey, yo, Pharaoh, come through, Like, I'm hyped for it. So those were my favorite moments production-wise. Overall, it was a great, strong episode for me. Strong episode.
Yeah, like you already brought up, Steve, like the set design this episode was incredible. Being inside of the Pyramid of Giza and getting to hear like Steven's like excitement of it, like that was so much fun, because I felt that excitement. I thought that was amazing. When we get to the end, when we get to Anton's like compound, and we get to see Senfu's sarcophagus and like all of the different like pyramids where he keeps all of the different like things from Egyptian culture, and it's like these sets and like the cinematography is just absolutely gorgeous, right? Like when they're out in the desert and the only thing lighting the sky is the moon and the stars, right? Like the cinematography in this episode, absolutely incredible. The VFX, watching Khonshu literally turn back the night sky 2,000 years. I thought that was absolutely incredible. Watching it from the perspective of like just the regular citizens watching the stars fly by in such speeds, like it was incredible, dude. Like I was blown away. My jaw was on the floor, like just gazing upon all of this amazing cinematography. Something you brought up, Abe, was just like the feel and the look of Cairo and of Egypt. This was something that Mohamed Diab talked about in several interviews, where he felt like Egypt is never portrayed the way that it's supposed to be. It's always portrayed like this super ancient place. You never get to see a modern version of Egypt. And he even talked about how that in Wonder Woman 1984, their depiction of Egypt was disgraceful, and he hated it. So it's like, it was great to see like these great like wide shots of Cairo, of Cairo, the city, of Egypt, getting to see the pyramids like we never seen before. Like you brought up the eclipse, that was incredible. Watching Khonshu make this eclipse happen, like, oh my God.
Force in the hands of the gods. He was like, I'll force them to talk to me. I was like, oh, this is lit.
Yeah, Nova, not making Egypt look like an impoverished third world country. Like it's ridiculous. Like you just love the way they look. Same thing with like Africa, right? Like some people just believe that Africa is just this rundown place. We're all living in fucking huts, in the Caribbean too. Like, small tangent. I was working at a hotel. I actually had a woman ask me when the rain was coming because she thinks that we're in tuned with like the fucking earth or some shit. It's absolutely ridiculous what people think of places outside of the United States. But it's just like, no, these are modern countries. They have everything that we have and even better. Like in the United States, like we think this is the greatest place on earth. It's not. There's a lot of other greater places. And it was just great to see how amazing Cairo looked.
Yes. One thing that I did like as well, Khonshu, I always love the placements that they have of Khonshu in the background of the sets, of him standing on certain things in the background, and then he's telling Mark to do stuff and stuff like that. We'll probably get to it later, but him standing on that clock that was struck midnight was really dope. That was a nice call. That was a really nice call. But yeah, go ahead.
It was a nice call after he fought someone named Midnight Man. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, that's pretty dope. And he says time is ticking, and he's like sitting there, standing on a clock that struck at midnight. I was like, this is dope.
Yeah, dude. And then the moon right above him as well. Like, dude, the cinematography, the attention to detail in these episodes are just honestly next level. The sound design is something that I loved throughout these last 3 episodes. Every time Arthur walks, you hear the broken glass in his shoes. Every time he walks, no matter where he is, you hear it. The sound design is brilliant. The score is brilliant. Like the music, the driving score of when they were inside of the pyramids, when Arthur is talking to the gods. Like there's so many great scenes where the score really pops. It feels Egyptian. Like it just gets you into the mode of Moon Knight, man. Like I'm just in love with this series. Everything about it, the writing, all of the production, it's great. The editing's really good too. The only thing that I didn't really like that much in this episode were the fight sequences. They were all like really close, really quick cut. There weren't any real like wide shots. It didn't really work for me in this episode, but he looked great the entire time. Like, what did you guys think about the fight sequences?
So for me, I loved my favorite fight sequence is the one where they're in where he's Steven's like, let me take it. And he takes over and he's like, everybody calm down, let's talk about this. And then
Let's
as soon as
chill
he
the
gets
F out.
stabbed, let's chill the F out. And as soon as he gets impaled, he's like, take it back. I thought that was funny. And then as soon as Mark comes back, he impales the dude with the one that he's already, I thought that shit was sick. I was like, he impaled him with the one that was already impaled through him, and he pulls him close, and then he grabs the other dude. I thought that whole thing was sick, and I loved the pre-call to it when Khonshu was telling Mark about how his suit gives him that healing factor and everything like that. So it made it like, let me make sure it was like they put that in there to make sure that people understood how powerful this suit was for people that don't know anything about Moon Knight. So they made sure to say that right then. So that way later on in the episode, when he's getting impaled, people can be like, yo, what the heck is going on? So I really appreciated that just for the people that aren't super Moon Knight, into Moon Knight like that.
Yeah. Like this episode was so good. Like let's get into the episode itself. Like before we get into the character breakdown part of it, something that I really liked was how this show continues to talk about mental health, right? There's that moment with Arthur in the pyramids with the gods, and he's like, you can't trust this guy. He doesn't even know his own name. He has a bunch of different personalities in his head. He doesn't even know where he is, and Khonshu's just taking advantage of him, right? Like literally gaslighting him. Like it's crazy, and it just shows the incredible acting by Ethan Hawke in that scene. So that was something that I really liked, that at its core, this is about like mental illness and how like people deal with it, right? Like how Mark is kind of pushing Layla away because of everything that he's dealing with, and he doesn't want her to be wrapped up in it, right? So let's get into the character breakdowns itself. So Oscar Isaac in this episode, absolutely fucking incredible. That scene towards the end where him as Mark is looking into the Jeep mirror, and he's telling him like, all right, you take control, and that transition between him going into Steven, I thought that was incredible. I thought his acting was so good in that scene. Another thing that I love about Oscar Isaac is his ability to just like emote everything that he feels just from his facial expressions, right? Like he's in the car driving to the desert with Laylee, and he's talking to her, and he's like, yeah, you never knew me and you still don't, right? He's hurting her kind of on purpose, but it hurts him too, right? And he doesn't have to say anything. It's written all over his face, and I love it. But Steve, starting with you, what did you think about Oscar Isaac's performance in this episode as Mark, as Steven, and as the third alter?
So I'm enjoying Oscar Isaac as a whole, just throughout the whole series. But like you said, you could see it all in his facial expression when he's Steven, when he's inside the pyramid of Gishan, how excited he is and everything like that. He's just so happy to even be there. He's putting together the puzzle to make the stars and everything. And he just was like super with glee. Like he was just happy as fuck. And then like even in the chase scene that we get, where they're chasing, and then we're having that little flash, and then he's, coming back into and stuff like that. I really liked Oscar Isaac as Mark in this situation, selling the fact that it's not him. And Steven is inside of the knife going, why are you killing people? Stop it. And then Mark is saying, what did you do? You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're arguing back with each other, back and forth with each other. They both can talk to Khonshu, but nobody's asking, hey, Khonshu, what the fuck is going on? But that's a different story within itself. But like they're back and forth, their tidbits back and forth, and his facial expression every time he comes to. If you watch the first episode when he comes through, he's like, Steven is completely frightened because he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. So he's confused and he's frightened. Mark is more so like in disbelief of like, I just blacked out, but you know what I'm saying? People are dead. And I don't think Steven would do this, or maybe Steven is losing his mind. So this is a different type of like come to. So his facial expressions in these, like, you know, coming to reality versus Steven's coming to reality in episode 1 is like completely different. And Oscar Isaac is showing like how dynamic he is with just even playing with his facial emotions, you know what I'm saying? Just showing us without actually saying words, just his body language and everything is just completely different between this episode and episode 1 when he was like snapping back. So I thought Oscar Isaac is really killing this role.
Abe?
All right, there we go. For me, I said it, you know, after episode 1, this man Oscar got range, yo. The way he's able to switch between characters and it feels so believable. It doesn't feel like, it's like, oh, wait, no, but that's still kind of like, he's still kind of Mark trying to pretend to be Steven. Like, not great. But no, I generally feel like, those are two distinct different people. Oscar, that is two Oscar Isaacs on this. He got a twin? I know he must got a twin. Ain't no way the same person is doing this like this. You know, people, you know, we've seen it before, and we see it a lot in comedy. But when it comes to like serious roles like this, how often is it pulled off so well? You know, and knowing, and this is what I love too. I love even before I watched episode 3, you know, spoilers on Twitter. I wasn't spoiled about anything major besides the scene that you mentioned, Steve, the knife scene, and who did what, right? People were spazzing on Twitter like, oh my god, it's this guy. Everybody was on the same page of who it was, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna look it up. As curious as I am to look it up now, because I want to see who it is. I want to see how they do this, you know, because again, I'm new to Moon Knight. I'm new to him. He's not someone that I didn't know about Moon Knight until the last like 6 to 10 months, you know. I'm very new to the character. And I just want to see how the MCU decides to do him. Because there was one tweet in particular where someone said, oh my goodness, if they make this guy evil or whatnot, I'm gonna be so pissed because it ruins the blah. And I said, that tweet right there is the reason I'm not gonna do research. Because I'm not going to go in and read about who the possible personality can be, and be like, oh, okay, this is how this person is. And then when MCU Moon Knight does their thing, it's completely different. I'm like, wait, there's a disconnect, you know. Ooh, I want to go in fresh. But I'm so excited to see all the fans on Twitter gush. It was 99% of the tweets I was reading just gushing. Oh my God, is this person? Is this same person? Oh my God, I can't believe it. We gonna get him. Let's get him. And it's just like, yeah, the Oscar, you was killing this shit, man. We talked about before how certain characters are set to get the bag in the MCU. You know, Loki, Tom Hiddleston is set to get the bag as Loki in the MCU. Fucking Jonathan Majors is set to get the bag as Kang in the MCU. Fucking Doctor Strange is getting set up to get a fucking bag in the MCU. We all know that Tom Holland is gonna get his bag because he's fucking Spider-Man, right?
Facts.
And we low key, I would like to think Scarlet Witch is being set up, whether you know she's going to be an antagonist or not, or villain or not, whatever turn they give her. I like to think she's getting set up to be getting a very nice bag in the MCU because there's
rumors that she's getting a solo movie.
Yeah, the Scarlet Witch is really carving out her, and this is something that we were missing. And I don't mean to go on a tangent. I know we're talking about Moon Knight, But this is something that we've been missing in MCU is this strong woman lead. And people may mention like, oh, we have Black Widow. Yeah, but then you saw how they did Black Widow. And even when we got her solo movie, you know why we got her solo movie. Because we should have gotten it earlier, but they never did. So they just, and again, Kevin Feige wasn't in control of all of this in the beginning. So the direction of a Black Widow has sort of changed. You know, she was just, they were going to try to use her as a romantic interest for the fucking Hulk, for goodness sake. Like, they were just going to pigeon her in that typical female role.
I didn't mind that, but that's a
it was just podcast. Like, I mean, you know, it could have been
Captain Marvel was not.
Yeah, it could have been interesting, but like they then gave up on it. So it was just like, all right, whatever. And then Captain Marvel, you know, so Scarlet Witch right here can be your central female role, your woman lead, in the MCU, who you can connect so many. Because I'll say that there's more versatility, there's more room for growth with Scarlet Witch than there is with Black Widow, you know, in terms of overall division of the MCU. And I fucking love that, right? So, but here, to just reel it on back in, because your boy was on some stuff before he got on here. You know I like to pregame my shit. To reel it back in, Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, I will say on the street level, when we talk about heroes, the street level, so I would include people like Daredevil, Luke Cage, that street level of heroes. Moon Knight has the potential to, Oscar Isaac has the potential to set himself above the others and be like, this is why I demand a bag. And if you want to be like, all right, let's bring it all down to make some sense and let's solidify it, the people on that level, on the street level side of heroes, would be Daredevil, you know, because we all fucking love Daredevil. And his story was great before it was part of the MCU. So how great is it going to be when now that he is part of the MCU? Especially because he's such a great actor too. The actor for Daredevil, he's right there who deserves a bag. Oscar Isaac deserves one as well. Because this is some phenomenal acting. This is 3 episodes we've gotten so far. 3 episodes. And he has failed. He has not failed to deliver realistic storytelling, to deliver adequate lines. His lines are on point. You feel them. The dialogue is on point. The 2 personages we've gotten to see, as far as we know, the 2 personages we've seen have felt distinct. They felt different. And we know we're gonna get more. So you're really having this man basically put on a fucking clinic on how to act, on method acting. This man, Oscar Isaac, is putting on a clinic every episode. Boy, pay this man.
Right? I mean, after this, like, this just makes me want to go watch like Split again with James McAvoy.
I was just about to ask.
Like, he's incredible.
Who is McAvoy or Oscar Isaac right now as far as personalities?
I don't know, man. I need to see all 6 episodes.
I still have yet to see Split. I'm so sorry.
Dude, Split is in. You would love it. It's right up your alley.
I watched the first one, which is
Unbreakable.
Right? I love Unbreakable.
Dude, you would love Split.
My way to Split. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god,
so
dude,
that's crazy.
But that's why I didn't mention James McAvoy, because I know he did it, but I was like, I can't say it if I didn't watch it. I know he did a great job, but I didn't watch it for myself.
But something Lily and Nova brought up is the fact that Layla is the only one that doesn't treat Steven like a nuisance, right? Like, I love the relationship that they're kind of forming. Like, it's weird because she used to be married to Mark, but it's like it really is her just like accepting like all of him, and we don't know where that relationship is going to go. She kind of like looks at him with like admiration, like admiring like his intellect, all of the things that he knows about Egyptology and all of these different things. Like,
part of me thinks it's just all right. So you know that Mark and Layla were married, right? They have that romantic interest. Clearly, there's been a disconnect. The love is not lost, but the love has changed.
Right.
Now you're having her deal with the skin of Mark, but the inside of Steven. And Steven is more considerate. You know, even Steven was like, man, who would ever divorce you? And remember when that happened, how she reacted is just like, oh, like hearing, seeing Mark say that. The man she fell in love with, who is clearly changed because hiding secrets and whatnot. I feel like that's what they're playing on, and it makes sense. And they're doing such a good job of it, which is why Layla, like, whether they're going to continue on and be like, yeah, so Layla and Steven, you know, because then it becomes a whole weird, messy, like WABC, you know, 3:00 in the afternoon soap opera type thing at that point. But that's another episode of General Hospital. I don't want that. I need General Hospital, right? But it could help if they build it. It could help the reconciliation of Mark and Layla, which would be great, you know. And I like how it's going, and I like her character. I didn't think I would care too much about her character, but she's doing well in this supporting role that she's given. You know, she's not demanding attention. She's not stealing away attention, but she's also not just obscure either. Like, you have to pay attention to her, but she just flows. She's just doing what she needs to do, and not really distracting from the storyline at all. And I appreciate that, her acting, because with everything going on, it's very easy for a character in that type of role to, like, you know, be that annoying nuisance. Oh my God, what is going on? Oh my God, I don't know what's going on. You see how people draw up characters like that all the time. But the way they've utilized Layla is like, okay, she doesn't really understand what's going on, but she's going to roll with it. She's going to trust in Mark and just roll with it and take it as she needs to.
Yeah, she's
observing and yeah, she's super vulnerable because there's a lot she doesn't know, of course. And
the fact that she's so formidable shows why Khonshu is like, I want her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Which was so interesting. When she took off the necklace, I was like, that was very, very Moon Knight-esque in terms of using curved blade. I'm like, hey,
one of her names, I think it's like her middle name or her last name, it means like crescent moon or something to do with the moon. It's some shit. I looked it up earlier and now I can't remember, but it's something to do with like the crescent moon. That's why she's using it, but someone will correct me in chat. But yeah, it all works together. So she might have a deeper connection. Like, her family lineage might have a deeper connection to Khonshu and the Egyptian gods that we don't even know. But something that two things that I want to talk about real quick is I love the fact that Mark is like the brawn and Steven's like the brains, right? I can't wait for the moment where all of the alters realize that they can work together and they will all become this incredible superhero. So I can't wait for that to happen. And then the third alter, I think we saw that third alter maybe 3 times in this episode. I think that was potentially him in the cab. I think there's a part of when he's with Layla going to see Anton. I think a part of that is Jake as well, because the accent changes. It's not American.
It's a New York accent.
Yeah, it kind of is it.
So I think the reason why I feel like Jake is going to be New York based is because where's the MCU? New York. Yeah. I feel like we're headed that way, and most of the characters, except for like the galactic ones, but they all somehow end up New York, and his accent seems New Yorkish. It seemed like it. What accents did you think you were getting?
I don't know. It was just different. It just sounded like he was from somewhere else that wasn't America, and it didn't sound like a British accent either. You know what I mean? I'm like, there was just these small moments. I was like, why is he talking like that? Why does he sound like that, right? It's the third altar, and then we see that again when the bodies fall, right? Like when we see the 2 guys that he kills, and neither Mark or Steven knows what's going on. That's clearly Jake. It's clearly him. So it's like I'm really hoping we get to see Jake in the 4th episode or maybe in the 5th episode. I think that would be really, really cool. But it's just awesome to watch Oscar Isaac go through these different alters and the way that his demeanor, the way that he walks, talks, mannerisms, everything changes seamlessly. Like, the dude is beyond talented.
And it's just even because I watched all 3 episodes again. So in episode 2, when Steven is looking at the camera, and then I'm at the cameras, and then I guess he thinks Mark comes out, and he stares at the camera, and Steven goes, "That's not me." That doesn't feel like Mark either, because he was so angry. Like if you look at that face at the camera, he looks angry, and
Yeah,
that
after
makes
watching
me,
this episode, I was like, that was fucking Jake on the security camera in the first
yeah,
episode.
bro. He looks angry, and then you brought up, after episode 1, I believe you brought up asking that girl on a date.
Yeah,
That's got to be Jake.
I thought it was Mark, and then after what you told me, I was like, I thought about it a little bit more, and then I was like, what if his name is fucking Scotty, right? But then I thought about it a little bit more. I was like, no, that's just a fun gag. It's Jake. It was Jake that asked her out. Jake's the one that wants to go out for the steak dinner. It was Jake in the cab with the hat on. I thought that was a nod.
Clear.
That was a clear nod.
Comics.
Jake in the comics is a cab driver. It was a nod, bro.
He always wears a hat.
With the hat, dude. I'm telling you, it was a nod to Jake. The accent, the killings. Jake was in this episode. He was in episode 1, episode 2. It's crazy. Go back and watch these episodes. Like what they've been able to do. What Oscar Isaac and Mohammed Diab and the writers. Oh my god, I'm just like blown away, man.
And maybe episode 4 is the whole story, a whole tie-in of 1, 2, and 3, but just from Jake's perspective or some crap like that. And that would be cool too. But yeah, that person that asked on the date can't be Steven, because asked to a steak restaurant, he's vegan. Can't be Mark. Mark's married. And he literally buys an apartment down the street from where him and his wife met. That's not a coincidence. He's still thinking about her.
Right.
So it's not either one of them. It's got to be Jake that asked that girl on a date. It's got to be. So yeah,
it's crazy.
It's good shit. It's good shit.
Before we move on off of Oscar Isaac, what are your guys' thoughts on Mr. Knight? I know, Abe, you haven't read the comics, so you don't know like how Mr. Knight is in the comics, which I think it's good because it's completely different from this. But starting with you, like, what do you think of Mr. Knight so far? What do you think of Mr. Knight being the embodiment of Steven's like vision of using like Khonshu's powers? Do you think like he's too like there's too much jokes? Do you feel like he never wants to fight anyone or have any like violence or anything like that? What are your thoughts on Mr. Knight as a character so far?
That's Abe, right?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were saying, so you were talking to Steven.
No, I tossed it to you.
Oh, as soon as you said Steve, I was like, okay, Steve, you got this. For me, so I just want to make it clear. I have read the first 5 issues of the 2021 version of Moon Knight. That was my start to it, but that's not something I did until like recently, again, in the last like 6 to 10 months. So I don't have enough knowledge or enough familiarity with the character to, until watching episode 3 that I realized like, okay, there's a difference in the versions of Moon Knight, the hero that we can get. Like we have the one that Mark is, the full-on Moon Knight, and then we have Mr. Knight, which Steven represents, which in the 2021 comics, now it makes a lot more sense to me now, is that when you see him in his detective agency, he's in Mr. Knight form. I just assume like, oh yeah, it's just him without the cape. When he puts the cape on, he's going outside on patrol. When he's inside, he takes the cape off, you take the snap back off. Now I know it's completely too. So I fucking love that, right? So I love that with Steven, he has this kind of Mr. Mask, the mask type role, because that's what the feel I get from it, and it's not a bad thing. I love Jim Carrey's The Mask, I really do, and seeing Mr. Knight and the way Steven plays him and the goofiness too, I get that same kind of feel without like, of course, the theatrics of The Mask,
Yeah.
But
I love it.
It fits. It makes you realize again. Just how skilled Oscar is as an actor, but the differences between the personalities and how the personalities don Khonshu's blessing. Because that's another thing too. Each personality is going to don it a different way if they do wear it. Steven made a deal with Mark to be like, hey, I'm going to have this thing because I'm going to be stubborn and not transfer power to you. So you're going to have to tell me how to use this shit. And it's like, all right, just think of the cape, and it's like, oh no, I'm suave. I'm on my mask shit. I just watched the mask last night before bed, so that's what came to mind. I fuck with it. I really do.
See, what about you?
So yeah, so we know Mr. Knight is supposed to be the detective, like Abe said. So it makes sense to me to put him in that space of Steven, because Steven is supposed to be the smart one. So it fits like, okay, if this is how he sees him, and then they just decided to give some fan service of giving us two different variations of the costume. And then it also leads me to think of, I don't think there's any other version of the Moon Knight costume, but let's say they come up with one for Jake. Does he use his own persona of a costume, or are we going to only see Jake in daytime? Because it kind of feels like during the daytime, obviously they can't summon Khonshu because moonlight, nighttime type thing. We haven't seen it in the daytime, so I'm thinking maybe Jake is the one that just takes over during these fights in the daytime for the most part, and that could possibly be its own thing within the thing. But I love the Mr. Knight, just him being so suave and everything like that. I used to love it in the comics, but then seeing it from this perspective with Stephen being in control, and I liked in the episode too when he was like, "You told me to summon the suit." He was like, yeah, a suit, but not a." And it's just like it's kind of plays off his personality, and I thought that was cool. Like just the fact that he's like kind of is like so innocent in a sense where he's like, I need you to summon a suit, and then he puts on an actual suit. Kind of shows that kind of like that giddy banter and how he's just kind of like loosely just funny and stuff like that. So I actually love it. Mr. Knight, for me in the comics, I thought that was really cool, just how he's more so of trying to figure things out, the detective version. And then we get these putting together the constellation, the puzzles, things like that, that Steven shows his intellect. And now I'm like, okay, it matches the suit. If you're a comic book reader as well, it matches that persona. So I'm liking that. So I do think that's dope. And I'm already looking forward to if they're going to give Jake his own suit when they finally reveal him or anything like that, or if it's Jake just taking over during the daytime during these fights.
I love that you brought that up. I hadn't even considered that they might give Jake his own version of Khonshu's suit. I think that would be really, really cool for them to do that. Like, they've been setting up since the first episode. Whenever we see reflections, it's always three. So we know that we're going to see three different alters in this episode. Dude, the camera work every time we see like reflections in water or in like it's just so well done. So we've talked a lot about Layla. Now, once we got to Anton's compound, the security guard mentions Madripoor. I thought this was a great name drop because so far we haven't really gotten much that connects Moon Knight to anything else, right? So this name drop with Madripoor, we know that Layla's been to Madripoor. We know that Anton's been to Madripoor. Who runs Madripoor? The Power Broker.
Power Broker, yeah.
So it's very interesting that they dropped that in.
They talk a lot about artifacts and things like that.
Black
and
market
we know
shit.
That black market, that's all Power Broker. And it even made me think about Killmonger when he's talking about artifacts and things like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's actually pretty dope. And that would be cool if they do bring in the Power Broker, because to this day, well, so far they haven't really integrated the Falcon Winter Soldier into any of the storylines as of now. But if they do bring in the Power Broker, that will be interesting that they bringing that into the fold as well.
Yeah. Abe, what about you?
Mute.
Or I'll be, you know, I'm not used to all the versatility. I don't have to just stare at one screen. Not saying I don't like it. So repeat the question for me because I just lost my train of thought while I was in panic mode.
No, like, what are your thoughts on like Layla's past in Madripoor and how that connects to like Anton and the Power Broker? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what kind of relationship do you think she had with the Power Broker? Like,
I'm thinking it's one of those, like, you know, typical arms dealers type relationships we see in typical spy movies, you know, like any James Bond movie we get, where she had relations, whether it's business or otherwise. And they kind of like a Laura Croft and whatnot type relationship. where she got goods for him. They had a working business relationship. You know, she was able to cut corners here and there, and he looked the other eye because she was efficient. She got results, and then now it's just at the same time that doesn't breed loyalty. Hence why he didn't have to be loyal. Money talks, and it always goes to the highest bidder, and we got a higher bidder. Mark/Steve was only able to get here as far as they did because of the good relationship that Layla had with the power broker that was based off of goods, the trading of illegal goods. But when you have someone who comes up on here and shows you, I can show you what a god can do. I don't give a damn what good you can steal from me. I got god power on my side, so it was no surprise. But I appreciate it because, again, you're giving Layla purpose. You're giving her usage rather than her just being a love interest in the show. You know how much shows like their love interest and then it doesn't fit with the plot, or they just waste them, or they just like to throw it in there and be like, yo, we got some romance, like, hey, cool, you good with that? Layla, like Steve used the word formidable, Layla's formidable. Try her if you want to. Try her. She's the type of person who, you know, anybody want trouble with her, she'd be like, bitch, here I go. That's what she do. So, like, try her if you want to. Layla not to be messed with.
Yeah, man. I love her as a character. I can't wait to see where she goes.
Exactly. Oh, shit.
Yeah. So let's move on to Arthur Harrow, right? Like, his character in this episode, absolutely brilliant. Like, Ethan Hawke continues to prove how much of an amazing actor he is, and he is a master manipulator to the point where this dude manipulated the gods into doing what he wanted to imprison Khonshu to get him out of the way so that he can resurrect Ammit, right? I also love that, and I will get into this a little bit more because I want to talk about the Egyptian gods themselves, but I love the fact that the gods aren't necessarily omnipotent in a way, and what I mean by that is they can't read intentions. They can't see that, yo, look at everything that Horror's been doing. Have you not been watching and paying attention? Like, he's literally been trying to find Ammit to resurrect her. He has the scarab, right? So I just love that he was manipulating them, like we talked about a little bit earlier on. Just him, like, just telling the gods, like, yo, this Khonshu has infected a man that doesn't even know his own name. We have no idea how many personalities he has. He's sick. We can't trust him. We can't listen to anything that he says. Everything is just wrong about this guy, right? And the gods believe him, which is crazy that this guy is such a massive manipulator. Again, like, the guy's a cult leader, right? He's used to manipulating minds into what he wants, but to do it to the gods, that's interesting. So, Steve, starting with you, what are your thoughts on Harrow's, like, manipulation of the gods and, like, just the gods in general? And we can just talk about that together.
Okay. Harrow pulling that off was just crazy to me, and I'm so interested in. I'm a lot because of what we just read the 2016 run. So she's a major part in that that run. So just that, I'm wondering if we're actually going to get to see her in this run or whatever in this first season, or are we going to get to see it later on, and everything like that. But just his manipulation, like you said, every time he steps on screen, you can hear the glass. And it's just like he's everywhere every time they go somewhere. And that, you know, for me, the 2016 run, it's doing a lot of, like, me trying to put together pieces. I won't go too much into detail because not everybody's read that. So I don't want to, if I am correct, I don't want it to be spoilers because it is in the comic book. But it's just like he's always there and he's everywhere that they go. No matter where Mark goes, even outside of the pyramids, when he shows up to go fight Mr. Midnight or whatever.
Yeah,
when
Midnight
he goes
Man,
up,
yeah.
Midnight Man, when he goes to fight Midnight Man, Harrow's there. And then when he's over on the other side of the country, like, no matter what, he's always here. And for me, I think it's all another type of thing. Like I said, we read the 2016 run, so I don't want to go too deep into it. but like it's just the way that he's like playing with words and he's manipulating them and everything like that. And I don't care what you guys say, all I ever see is Sebastian Shaw every time he steps on the screen. He looks
Stop.
so much he looks so much like Kevin Bacon in that X-Men movie, man. It's crazy. But and then the gods, the one guy that talks about a previous relationship with Khonshu, not necessarily the avatar that's holding it, but the deity.
Or some Udor or some
Hathor.
Hathor.
Hathor,
Yeah.
Hathor, one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in Egyptian like history, they have like they're in a relationship, so it's cool.
And I was just like, oh, okay, they had a previous relationship and all this other stuff, and she's the last one to leave the avatar's body after they basically shut Khonshu down and everything like that. So she was like very much so like it felt like she was involved in that situation where she was just like, oh dang, he almost had it. Kind of like she was thinking about the man that she cared for or something like that. And I also love this scene where Mark is when Khonshu was talking through Mark, and Oscar Isaac has to play another role. And it's just, he's like really, really showing another performance, and he's yelling and everything like that. And I thought that was interesting that Khonshu was yelling through Mark while all the other deities, when they're talking through their avatars, they're just talking with the regular tone. So I was wondering what's up with that. Is he having to fight through all the personalities, or what's going on with that whole
Or he's just not
situation?
used to the sensation or whatever it is. He doesn't understand like how it works, you know?
Yeah.
Could be, but what you're saying is valid too.
Because I'm just wondering, because I'm like, why is everybody else like having a normal conversation through their avatars, and then he's like screaming, like it was weird. And then like you said, how he manipulates the gods. He manipulates the situation so much he almost gets Khonshu to attack him.
Yeah.
Inside so he had that situation. He was pulling them like string, like puppet, man. He had that whole situation under control.
Hey, what about you? What are your thoughts on Haro like literally manipulating the gods? Like, yes, like all of them, they don't like Khonshu to begin with, so they didn't really listen to much that he had to say, but he still, like Steve was just saying, like working them like puppets. Like, what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, while he was working them like puppets, he was using the right information that made the most sense. Like everything he said was truthful. Let's be real. I mean,
technically, yes.
Yeah. He believes Khonshu broke him. Did Khonshu break him? Oh, it seems so. Because Khonshu seems to be very brute, doesn't really care about it. Hey, he has a goal, he wants you to do it. And he made him vulnerable. Who better to indict Khonshu than his former avatar, right? And that's what he leaned on. And that's what they relied upon, because it's like, well, here's someone who actually used him, who had experience with him. How's he doing? No, he's hurt. All right, let's use unfortunately, you're using Mark Spector, who's broken. And what did Mark do? I thought Mark would lie in that situation. And I'm really glad he did it, because to me, it showed that Mark understood that, I'm before gods. And everybody's perception of gods is that they're omnipotent. Like they're all knowing. You can lie to a god, they're gonna know that. Now, in this case, because we know that they're not omnipotent, they're not all knowing, because clearly they will be able to be like, hey, yo, that motherfucker lying over there, Your Honor.
He was just in the desert with the scarab. People are digging right now. Like, can you see this?
Like, y'all Egyptian guys, he in your hood. He's legit in your hood. Like, what's going on? But the fact that's not the case, so he didn't know that. Oscar didn't think of that. To him, it's like, yo, these are gods. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I'm gonna take away from the situation. I fuck with it. So you told the truth. But the truth didn't help in this situation, because it only strengthened his argument of like, you see, I told you that this motherfucker broke it. He just told you himself he broke it.
Yep.
And then Khonshu blew it. Honestly, if Khonshu didn't overreact as strongly the way he did, if he wasn't so angry and so rude about it, maybe. But nah, Khonshu is Khonshu. And then you see what happens. It's like, all right, bet. So it worked, and Haro worked with Harold just played the game the way it should have been played. I can't talk about it.
I want to bring this up because I saw it in a video that I watched. Khonshu is also mad at the other guys or whatever because he says they abandoned humanity.
Right.
Whatever, and he doesn't like that. And they were saying how he has something in common with a villain that we're going to see in Thor, Gorr the God Butcher. Gorr the God Butcher feels like the gods abandoned humanity, and that's why he's
right.
And they were like, that would be interesting to see if they end up later on, if they don't kill off Gorr the God Butcher or something like that, and they have Khonshu and Gorr the God Butcher kind of having a conversation or interaction. I think that would be pretty interesting to see, because then in that situation, Khonshu obviously would see where he's coming from. And it would be like a lesser of two evils with that situation. I just thought that was interesting when they brought it up in the video, and I was just like, yeah, that would be dope. I don't know what you guys' thoughts on it is, but I think that would be interesting.
No, the thought definitely crossed through my mind, and I was actually gonna ask you guys a similar question. Just like, what do you think of, like, just a Khonshu's thoughts on that? The fact that he feels they abandoned humanity, and that's why he was banished, right? Like, he was banished from their council or whatever, simply because he didn't want to abandon humanity. And they only abandoned humanity because they think humanity abandoned them and stopped praising them. So it's like, my thing is like, what kind of gods are you that you're so, like, in your feelings pretty much? That's like, oh, they stopped worshiping us? Well, let's stop helping them all together. Fuck them. Like, really?
Yeah. But
that's again, not what you're supposed to do. You were given a charge, like, you're supposed to protect.
But then again, remember Eternals.
Right.
They are essentially the predecessors, the progenitors of modern mythology in the MCU. They had, so the druid was like, yo, we have the power to influence. And the other's like, that's not what we're here for. That's not what we do. You know, we just observe, we let them rock.
Yeah. And
the Egyptian gods are like, yo, they abandoned us. Like, yes, they're in their feelings, but they're like, yo, we swore we wouldn't interfere. We would step back. Hey, gods have different reasons, but most of them are tempted to be like, yeah, you know, I don't want to. We're gonna leave them be. And it's just like, hold on. It's like, hold on. What are y'all good for? Why is it that one of y'all wants to actually, you know, play a role and be a god, and then that person is, oh, you're the outcast, oh, you're the one that we got to keep an eye on, you know, like, oh, you're doing too much. Now, I'm not saying that every god who does that has the right intentions, because even Drew wasn't going about it the right way. He just enslaved the whole fucking population. Like, hey, I can make them do, like, hey, that's not saying that's not the way it should be.
Peace by removing free will. Yeah, not the way.
And, you know, Khonshu was like, hey, peace by getting rid of the person afterwards, which isn't that what our justice system kind of does now anyway? Well, supposedly, allegedly. So is Khonshu wrong? No, not really. As far as we know, you know, as far as how these people
don't deserve to die. Yes, Khonshu's a god, but he doesn't have the right to say, okay, well, you die now because you've committed a crime. Like, I don't think Khonshu has the right to decide.
But in that case, but God,
yes, but
God, you gotta have that. You are a god, you know. If us as humans can decide, a god definitely can decide, you know. But then again, you have that option. Then you have a man who's like, Minority Report is like, look, you're gonna steal a cookie 10 years from now,
right? Like, what?
So you gotta die now. You gotta die now. I'm like, damn, nigga, over a cookie? Like, what if if you told me, then I won't steal cookies. You know, I won't steal a cookie. What about that? Nah. I saw it 10 years.
Yep, can't do it.
Otherwise, you are a saint, but you did that one thing, so we're gonna get you up out the paint. Look, I'd rather have Khonshu than Ahmed. You feel me? But yeah. We only have 3 more episodes.
3 more, man.
And everybody says episode 4 is the one. So I'm so ready for Wednesday.
What do you guys feel about Haro feeling like he's broken because of Khonshu? He feels like because of Khonshu, that's what fueled his bloodlust. He liked it, right? And maybe he felt like he wasn't really getting anywhere because Khonshu's judgment comes too late. He even says that, right? Like, how do you feel about Haro's like outlook on Khonshu as being the thing that broke him? Like, what do you think about that?
Well, for me, I interpreted it slightly different. You know, I interpreted him as realizing that his former self as an avatar, like, yes, he thoroughly enjoyed the brutality of his task and whatnot, but it scared him. It made him realize, like, yo, I might be a bad person. Like, I might be a effed up person. And so with Ahmet, even though it's still not right, but the way he was able to reason is like, yo, we can get rid of other people feeling that way, you know, of committing such crimes. Like, because he acknowledged he's not perfect. It's not like he portrays himself as I'm holier than thou. Clearly not. By the silent suffering he puts himself through as atonement. So I saw him as not blaming Khonshu, but more so realizing, like, Khonshu, you made me realize something about myself. And because of that, because even at the end, I thought he would break the statue, you know? I thought he would break it because wouldn't you do that too? Like, hey, I got you.
It would have angered the gods, and it would have garnered their attention, and he doesn't want their attention. So I think that's the only reason why.
It's possible, most likely, because at that point I'm like, yo, do the gods even pay attention, to be real? Because like at this point, I don't even know.
Yeah, because I mean, they made it a point to imprison him forever, not kill him.
Not kill. So
you know what I mean?
But
and if you break the statue, say you break him out of prison, you don't break him out of prison or something like that.
That's true. There's also that possibility. But again, Harold, I saw it as him recognizing that you made me realize the truth about myself and how I was wrong. And now upon following and learning about Ahmet, because he has built himself a community and he is a kind person, you know, he's had ample opportunities to actually kill some people, especially kill Steve, but he's proceeded not to go that route.
He truly believes that he's saving the world.
Yeah.
He's not about senseless killing at all.
Exactly. So I appreciate that, and that's why me and you are on the same page. Is that one detail that I would take out, you know,
and that's fair.
That he's not blaming him. He's more of like, I realized you made me see myself, and because of that, this is how I atone. You open the door for me. This is how I atone. And because it doesn't seem he's as hateful of Khonshu as someone, he's not scorned. It never came off as him being scorned like a jealous ex or whatnot. It's more so like, damn, you still up to your tricks? You still hurting other people? I gotta stop you. You gotta get out the way. You know, that's how I see it.
Steve, have any other thoughts on this?
No, you guys are all hitting it on the head. So.
Such good shit in this episode, man.
Oh yeah. I'm just wondering how can you keep getting better, because and Khonshu even says, well, are we going to the next scene, or are we? Yeah,
we can definitely move on from here, because I was actually looking at IMDb, and there's an actress that has been cast as the avatar of Amit, and if IMDb is correct, it has, you know, lied to us before, but if it's correct, she's supposed to be in the last 3 episodes, you know, so it's like they could release Amit could be going after the gods, Mark has to free Khonshu, we need more of Jake, more Mark backstory. There's so much that they can do in these 3 episodes. So I kind of want to move on to the Anton character, Midnight Man, and rest in peace to Gaspard Ulliel. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right. He was in Hannibal Rising. That was like the first thing I ever saw him in. Incredible in that. Really good actor. It really hurts to know that he passed, but it really sucks. He's going to be.
You remember we was talking about, because I was watching it last year, and I told you like, I saw this on Tubi, and I'm like, this shit is interesting. You're like, yo, yeah, it was a good movie, right? And I was like, I like this take, I really do. And to find out that I was just, man, because I was really looking forward to his potential, because you said that he's a really good actor. You said he was talented, and this was my first interaction like with his work.
Yeah.
And then just it sucks. It sucks, man.
So, such a talent, but he's supposed to be in the last 3 episodes. And what Nova just brought up, I think that would be insane, because we do see a scene with Mark or one of the alters in a mental institution in all white, right? That's right out of the 2016
We've already
run.
Seen Billy and Bobby.
Yeah, right out of the 2016 run. Like, who knows what's gonna happen? But Steve, what are your thoughts?
For Amit or whatever, and like from what Nova just said, I've been thinking a lot of this 2016 run is been in our face the whole time. I'm trying not to like do the whole thing, but there's some things that I think that have already been clear things that have came from 2016.
Definitely.
But we've seen Billy and Bobby. That they're the 2 detectives that showed up to the house or whatever to inspect the house or whatever, and they took was it Stephen? Yeah, they took Stephen back to the warehouse. Yeah. So that's Billy and Bobby, hands down. I mean, I don't know if they've said it, but like
they haven't. But you know.
Yeah. Billy and Bobby is in the 2016 run. They're like the henchmen, in a way. But I'm thinking like in Amit or whatever, you said that I didn't even know that they were going to actually put her in the series. I was thinking maybe, you know what I'm saying, later on down the line in another Moon Knight run or something like that. Maybe we get a finale and then they finally release her or anything like that. But to find out that they're actually going to have her in the next 3 episodes, and then we kept seeing that trailer with Sane Asylum and everything like that, she's got to be in there. So it's going to be there. And when they reveal the actual the deity's form without the avatar, will be mind-blowing, because it looks sick in the 2016 run. It looks crazy sick. So I'm excited to see that. But what was the original?
We were talking about Anton.
Anton.
Like, what did you think about his character in the episode? What did you think about Gaspard's acting?
I thought he did pretty good. I don't really know too much about the character. I didn't watch the Hannibal series. I didn't watch the movie, anything like that. So just watching it, I just was like, oh, okay, are we going to get to see more? But then I saw that he had already passed away recently.
He's only the only kind of, he did the Hannibal Rising movie. It was his only time portraying Hannibal. Right. It was just a unique take into a young Hannibal Lecter before he became what Sir Anthony Hopkins is giving us as the character. Yeah.
Okay, so it's the movie, not the TV.
It was just a singular movie.
Yeah, that was Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
God, incredible.
Mads, I do love me, Mads. I really do. But
But that's them trying to like even tell him that Harrow had his own plans and things, and Harrow's still manipulating him. And I think he does a pretty good job of even just being like, you know what I'm saying, I'm supposed to trust you, you know what I'm saying, Layla? Like, I'm supposed to trust you. And I liked his dynamic. I like the little fight scene that we got. He charges in on the horse and then he goes away. And then we get the moon crescent that hits him seemingly. And then he falls. But we don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's the fog and the dust, so we don't know if
he was still on the horse. I don't think he's dead at all. I think we're gonna see him again for sure.
Yeah, they're gonna have to replace him, I guess, unless he's going to be within this series.
Yeah, again. I mean, I think they already filmed all of his stuff, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they already filmed everything that he was going to be in Moon Knight. Like, and if IMDb is correct, he's supposed to be in at least 2 more of the episodes.
Oh, okay. So we're going to get... Hell, we got a lot of stuff.
If it's correct.
I would say we got a lot of stuff. You got Amit and you got him for 3 more episodes, and then still Harold. Oh, yeah. We got a lot to go.
Yeah, man.
Because I was not expecting to see him again. I was thinking that he could have been a villain in another later on and down the universe line and everything like that. So yeah, if we're getting him again in these next 3 episodes, and we're getting Amit, and we're still gonna have Harold, Oscar Isaac's character, Moon Knight's gonna have his hands full for the next 3 episodes. Like really, really have his hands full because we still have to get, like you said, we have to get Jake, and then I'm assuming the living statue is finally going to come into place because they've been hinting at him so many times, and we all know that that's the best friend from the 2016 run. So there's going to be all sorts of stuff that we still don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, I think that dude did a pretty good job. I don't know too much about the character, him in general as an actor. I just know and I don't know too much about the character, like you said, like I was trying to say. So I just thought that he was just there until people had said that he was Midnight Man, things like that. But I did notice that Kashi was standing on the clock and it was midnight as well. And I thought that was a nice callback once I knew that he was Midnight Man. So I didn't know too much about the character. I honestly, truthfully thought that he was just out of here. And then once I did some research, found out about Midnight Man, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe he'll come back in a Moon Knight movie or something like that. But I had no idea he was going to be in another 2 episodes. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Something Edlin brings up on the Twit side that I think is really interesting is the fact that Oscar Isaac said that he doesn't know if he's going to do anything with Moon Knight again after this series, right? He did mention that if, the right script comes along, if the right idea comes along, he'll do it. But it's like, what do you think that means? Do you think it's bullshit? Do you think, because he wants to do Midnight Suns. He said it. So it's like, do you think we'll see him pop up in other MCU properties? Do you think we won't see him back unless they do a Midnight Suns? Like, what do you think?
I'm not sure I'm pretty sure that's bullshit. We're going to see him again, but I'm not sure if we're going to see him pretty soon because the last episode of Moon Knight airs and then Doctor Strange comes out. The timing of that is not a coincidence. Something within this series will play a part in Doctor Strange. I don't think we'll get Oscar Isaac in Doctor Strange or anything like that, but something that was going on in this is going to come into play in the Doctor Strange movie. I just don't believe in coincidences, and Marvel is stacking this too perfectly. So as soon as this ends, Doctor Strange comes out, and I don't think this is a coincidence. I think they strategically placed that just for this. The same way where they kind of placed Spider-Man right before Hawkeye ended, and then you get the cameo from, what I'm saying?
Musical, yeah,
we get the cameo from Daredevil, and then boom, Kingpin. So I don't think these are coincidences. I don't know what could possibly tie into Doctor Strange. I don't know what they're going to give us unless they, really hit us over the head with something. But I don't think that's a coincidence that Doctor Strange is going to be right there. And then if it's not a coincidence, then Oscar Isaac is just, just trying to throw us off because that's what they have to do because of, no talking clause.
What about you? Like, do you think we'll see him again soon? Like, outside of Midnight Suns, like, do you think we'll see him in an MCU movie, in like a future MCU series?
Why not? I mean, you can always, because I would like it. I would like it. I would like to see other properties involve said character, but we'll see.
Yeah, he could be just full of shit, man. He really could be full of shit, and he's probably signed on for other stuff. But who knows?
Be. I mean, with this episode with the purple magic, that's Agatha magic. That's multiverse breaking. That kind of purple glow.
Purple is distinct. Purple is distinct.
He's coming back. He's fucking with us.
He's too talented.
Yeah, man.
I didn't pay all this money for one series. Get your ass back. Get your ass back in here.
Lock him in. It's not like he getting up there in years. This is a role you can kind of just ride into the sunset with while still getting a very nice back. Honestly.
One thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about the Egyptian gods, when they were imprisoning Khonshu, they were standing pretty much in like a pyramid shape. I thought that was kind of cool the way they were doing it, and the animation of Khonshu dematerializing as the stone statue was forming.
Yeah,
That was so
that was
good.
dope. That was dope. Yeah,
I like
when we
it.
talk about production and whatnot, that the whole sequence of events, the animation, the CGI and everything, whatever they utilized to do that was so fire that we were seeing this simultaneously happening, and it flowed so well. As the statue was getting more definitive, Khonshu himself was becoming more abstract and was disintegrating more.
Yeah.
And it just like, oh, that makes sense. Like, hey, it looked fantastic.
I like that he tells Steven, he says, "Hey, when they imprison me, send Mark." He's like, "Don't
send Mark."
Send Mark." He's still like telling him that he's
but,
not
okay,
shit.
but I have to say this because in my time of reading those first few issues of Moon Knight, of the 2021 run, of course they made reference to the events of 2016 and leading up to 2021. One of them being Khonshu being freed and causing havoc to where they had to bring Avengers and all of that other heroes to stop him. You think that could be what this comment by Khonshu could be alluding to? Not saying that he himself is like, yeah, I'm about to fuck up the world, but that's a possible storyline that they may play on. Is he gets in prison? He may never be freed. You know, I don't think that he will ever be freed this series. But when he does get freed, we get that Khonshu Moon Knight event that involved other heroes in the Marvel comics.
Yeah, man, this shit is so good. Like, there's potential for anything. Like, Kevin Feige is a fucking nerd. It's entirely possible. Nothing's off the table.
That's gonna be fire.
And so I asked this question on stream for the chat. Pretty much the turning the world back 2,000 years. If that is a thing that they actually run with for, just say for the remainder of the series, not even for the whole universe, just for the remainder of the series, that is monstrous because of the fact that you have the Eternals, you have all sorts of different things that took place on Earth 2,000 years ago that they can bring in just for the last 3 episodes. And I think that could be ridiculously crazy if they just decide to bring that into the fold of these last 3 episodes. Even if they don't do it for the entire Marvel universe, they just do it for the next 3 episodes. I think that could be ridiculously crazy. The different things that they could pull and bring into this.
Yeah, I think it would be a little too wild if they actually like literally turn back the time on this universe 2,000 years. I think that would be fucking wild. I would be down for it, but I don't think that's what they were doing. Like, we talked about this like before we started going live. I think they rewound time, just the night sky, to 2,000 years ago, and then after they were holding it and like Steven and Khonshu let go, I think it just reset, but we don't know.
Yeah.
But that's what I think. I think it just reset because that's why they had to hold it steady while Layla could scan the constellations. I think if they let go, it just resets back to the way it was supposed to be.
It'd be weird if it didn't reset.
Yeah, real wild.
It'd be weird if it didn't reset and the gods were like, "Hey, you changed the night sky," and it's just like, "But we're not gonna change it back. We're just gonna keep your change." It's just like,
but can they? Because the night sky.
Hathor is supposed to be the god of the sky. Okay. So potentially she could. If it wasn't already rewound back, I think she could. Or Horus. But I don't know.
They're like, these gods are powerful. They can put their juices together and make it happen if need be. But to be like, hey, you did a bad thing, we're not gonna fix it. All right, we're gonna just punish you and leave it as is. Continue on. Be like, what?
I mean, they've done less.
Look, their reasonings aren't ideal. So I feel you, but
they also did not jump in when Thanos did what he did.
That had nothing to do with them. I always wonder about what the roles of gods in the MCU when it came to outside the planet and outside Earth, because a lot of these gods are viewed as gods of the Earth. you know. But it's just like, wait, there are other planets and universes, so where do you guys stand in the hierarchy of things? Like, are y'all really about that life, or y'all just like us and how we treat lesser people, lesser beings, lesser organisms? You know, is that what you guys are? Y'all got a bigger dog y'all serve and y'all look up to?
That's what I'm wondering. So
Dude,
much stuff.
If they ever introduce the one above all, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to actually fucking lose it, because he is actual God.
Morgan Freeman voice just plays
Stop.
in the movie, and you're like, oh my God, we know who this is.
I'll be like, well, he's a one-time thing, because I don't know how much we're gonna get Morgan Freeman into movies.
You gotta give him steak. You gotta give him steak at Disney at this point. You gotta be like, look, especially since his roles in the DCE. It's just like, all right, look, we give you 10%. How about that? Or if I'm like,
10% of Disney?
Warner Brothers gave me 25, and it's just like, oh shit,
bro. I'll take 1% and
right?
1% of Disney.
Well,
10%.
Are you Morgan Freeman though? Are you Morgan Freeman?
10% of Disney is
Morgan
like,
Freeman can
Jesus.
demand his price. Know your worth, King. Know your worth, King.
Oh, 10% of Disney. Well, I kill for that.
Right? That's retirement.
More, that's retirement for everyone that you've ever met.
Yeah.
Like that. Good Lord.
Man, but yeah, this episode was absolutely incredible. Critics that saw the first 4 episodes have done nothing but talk about how great episode 4 is going to be, and it looks like it's shaping up to change everything, like a lot of different people have said. So I am very excited for Wednesday. I can't wait for Moon Knight episode 4. Any final thoughts or favorite moments that we didn't get to talk about that you guys want to mention before we wrap up?
No, overall for me it was just like I said, a positive, strong episode, and I can't wait when this is done. At some point, you know, episode 3 of shows usually serve as that turning point, you know. And I would love to have a conversation ranking the episode 3s of all the Disney Plus Marvel shows to see, like, you look at,
write that
you
down.
know, yeah. Not only do we look at like, all right, the production of the episode, and we critique them based on production and everything that we do when we review them, but also when we look at the bigger scope of their projects, how well did that episode set up the rest of the series? Because, you know, episode 3 for Loki, wasn't that when they were on the planet? That's when they first learned, like, yo, you can't change an apocalyptic. Yeah, that was Lamentus,
was it?
Right? Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
And that episode was different. That episode was different.
Because
and
episode
really,
4 is when we get the multiple Lokis and things like that. So yeah, it's episode 3.
You're right.
Different. So we gotta do a ranking
to double up on what Abe said. Isn't there going to be a gap after the Doctor Strange movie?
Yeah, I was gonna say after Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we could do that.
We got at least a 2 or 3 week gap. I would think that we could do one for each episode.
Well, I was in one whole episode where we just discussed them, depending, because how many will we have? We'll have almost 10 episode 3s to discuss, about at almost 10, right? We have Loki, WandaVision, Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm sorry, Hawkeye,
and then this
Moon Knight. So we only have 5
episodes. Unless you want to count. Well, we're not counting.
Yeah, if you want to count What If.
What If? Yeah,
we'll count What If, because I mean it all connected overall. It all
that is true.
So we'll count What If.
So that's what I'm thinking. So would you want to do it
all in one episode where we break down, because then we can use the criteria that we come up to be like, yo, this is why this episode 3 stood out strongly compared to this one, or, you know, especially now that we can look back again on it with fresh eyes, with fresher eyes again, and seeing how strongly, how well did that episode 3 set up the rest of the series? Because that seems to be a common theme with episode 3 in these these Disney Plus Marvel shows. Episode 3 is such a strong turning point, you know, And that's probably just because when you're screenwriting and whatnot, and you have such limited episodes, to get, you need to get to your point. And episode 3 is usually when you try to, but otherwise, regardless, I just want to, rank them, see which which show had the best episode 3, which one really did his job of capturing his fan base and making us all, settle in and be like, yo, we're here for the fucking ride.
Okay, because I was thinking episode premieres, 3s, and then finales would be a really good conversation.
That would work. Everybody has one season, yeah.
Premiere.
Yeah, then there we go. One episode, we do all focus on premieres. Another episode. Episode 3 is another episode.
That's what I was trying to.
That would be fire. That's a great idea, dude.
Because there's a gap after Doctor Strange for a while. I don't even know what we're doing after Doctor Strange.
Well, I mean, we still.
Well, I do want to do Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
Obi-Wan. Oh, okay.
But that's stuff that we can include, even if it's JB. I have the resources now. That's something that we could just record off and we drop it on the YouTube. It doesn't have to necessarily be live.
It'll be live, and I'll be available.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Again, this episode was absolute fire. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for this review. This was a really, really good breakdown. Incredible cinematography, incredible set design, music, score, acting. Everything was firing on all cylinders in this episode, in this series so far. Can't wait to see where it goes. Can't wait to see where it wraps up. I'm beyond excited. So, Steve, tell the people where they can find you online.
Oh, yes, you can follow me at ScubaSteve1428 on all social media. You can follow the Blerd Mind Pod. It has a link tree that can lead you to all of the people that are a part of It Mob. There's 9 of us, including that guy Prince, and then other ones. You know what I'm saying? We also have a Patreon that's on there. If you guys want, if you guys will, please, sub to the Patreon. We drop a bunch of episodes on our Patreon. We actually drop something different for you guys to listen to with the guy below me again, Abe. We did a Dads of Sports episode. So just to let you know, we're not just comic book nerds. We are sports nerds as well. And so we did a Dads of Sports episode. And we also have a nerd shop also. And we have merchandise and things like that. Pick something up from it. But yeah.
Yeah, y'all know who it is. It's your boy Prince Elawal, aka the Mad Prince. You can find me on Twitch. I actually am streaming around 9 o'clock. So within the next hour and some minutes, we're doing Toxic Dead by Daylight. Me and some friends. A couple of them are first-time players. So I'm gonna be. It is NSFW. All right, this is a 21+ stream. All right, but y'all can find me on Twitch. Appreciate everybody for joining the Madhouse over there. Otherwise, definitely click on the link tree in the bio description. Check out the OC8 podcast, which returns next fucking Wednesday.
Nice.
Excited about it, and it's in a new format. We are going to go back to our roots, which was us recording live, and then dropping the audio playback for everybody on platforms. So right now it looks like we're gonna go live next Wednesday. Oh, it happens. Oh God. Oh wait, can it be next? It can't be next Wednesday. I can't do that. Okay, I gotta hit him up. It gotta be the Wednesday after. I forgot that next Wednesday is 420. I'm not doing it. I'm so sorry. I'm not doing that. I won't do that. So the next following Wednesday, 427, we'll be back at 6 p.m. Don't be surprised if y'all see me tweeting about an Osa and Abe Twitch channel. We're going to stream via probably Facebook and Twitch. And I'm excited for it. Really looking forward to it. Or probably just YouTube and Twitch. Facebook and Twitch, because there's certain regulations I'm trying to stay within. But yeah, check out Mayanaka Mixer. Check out, obviously careful for spoilers. Check out Anime Lately. Be sure, please go hit up the homie Spicy Lady Gaming. She's on Twitch, and it's Spicy Lady ENT on Twitter to go support my good sis. Appreciate y'all. Y'all know what it is.
Yeah, you guys can follow me all over social media at JB Exclusive. I talk about movies, TV shows, comics, and manga and anime constantly. over there on Twitter. You want to find absolutely everything that we do, go to carefulforspoilers.com. You'll find all of the articles that we write there, the merch store, the Patreon, all of the podcasts on the C4S Podcast Network. If you want to check out something that's not just nerd shit and comic book movie stuff, check out the You've Got to See This podcast. They have a review of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. They have a review of Everything Everywhere All at Once already up on their feed. So definitely check them out on the C4S Network. Mia and I are going to be working on some standalone podcasts, some one and done podcasts. One of them I'll reveal right now is going to be called Beyond the Veil. It is going to be a 20 episode long podcast about the most influential horror movies of all time. I'm very, very excited about this project. Mia and I are taking our time building this out, so I'm not sure exactly when it's going to drop. Abe is definitely going to be on that pod. If Steve wants to join in on one of those horror movies, he can join in as well. But I got a lot of great content coming for you guys later on this year. Writing a short story, got a lot going on. So you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing, follow me on Twitter, follow the website, again, carefulforspoilers.com. And again, Abe, Steve, thank you guys so much for joining me. Chat, thank you guys so much for joining me. Everyone who gave new follows on Twitch, I really, really appreciate you. Thanks for helping me build out the community. But yeah, until next week, we will see you guys on the next one.